Welcome to a new episode of Submission Ready Morning After Live. I'm Dennis Shkaradov, and I had to do this episode a little bit earlier today. I apologize for messing with people's schedules. It was my birthday yesterday, and we had to split up the celebrations a little bit like one of my guests with his Christmas celebrations. I had to do it a little bit later, trying to manage the kids and all this crazy hoo-ha, but there's some fun stuff planned today, so I had to do this early at 7:30 in the morning here in Australia before we head out. And I also want to say a big thank you to everybody out there that sent me a nice happy birthday, and I've seen all your messages. I really appreciate them. And even on this live chat right here, some of our friends from Just Bleed Radio and friends that watch the program, like Lazy Bet MMA, sending me a really heartfelt super chat on my birthday. Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you. And thanks for everybody else out there. Now, let me introduce some guests, because it's almost like a birthday present to myself. Back in action with the UFC. It's been a huge, long break, and now we're back in a big way this weekend with UFC 324. If you guys want to get in on the action as well throughout this episode, don't forget super chats, get to the front of the queue. If you want, you can become a member. That really supports the program. If not, just comment, like, share, and be a part of the action. First things first, my first guest was able to celebrate a new Christmas tradition by going to a ghost hockey. I don't know, I'm messing this up. Ghost something
Close
hockey
enough.
game. Jed Meshew, did you guys win? Did the ghost hockey guys do it?
They're the Ghost Pirates, and they did win.
Look at
And
this.
happy birthday.
Yeah.
Yeah. I did not realize it was your birthday. What are you, 25?
37, but I look like I'm about 93. Like
Same. But yeah, happy birthday, man. I didn't realize we were celebrating. I thought we were just talking nonsense about UFC 324. So very exciting. Congratulations on, surviving another year.
Thank you, brother. I feel lively. I feel hard body karate. I feel like things are happening, and we are celebrating. I mean, not me as much as we are celebrating UFC 324. What about this next guest, Aaron Bronsteter, in the house as well? AB, it's a good time to be alive, MMA fans.
Yes, sir. I mean, look at Woody Hayes over there with his whiteboard, wishing you a happy birthday, a fellow Capricorn. Congratulations on another year spinning around the what did I say? Another spin, whatever the expression is. I'm a little bit out of it today, but happy belated birthday nevertheless. Mine was just a couple weeks ago as well, so I'm glad that we can celebrate as Capricorns united.
I love it, man. Next year, let's do a joint birthday. We'll meet somewhere in the middle between Canada and Australia. We'll invite everybody down. It'll be great. Get a jumping castle. Aaron?
Hey, I'm ready for it. I'm happy to.
Aaron's like, what the fuck
I can
is
jump.
he talking
I can
about?
jump from Canada to Australia. It'll take me like 80 days to do that.
Very similar down here. All right, but guys, we are back in a big way. There are a lot of things to talk about. UFC 324. Let's do it like we did it last week as well. If you guys have your questions, throw them in the chat now. I'll try to do like a little bit of a speed round, whether it be UFC 324 or the new fight announcements or some of the other things happening in MMA. Drop them into the comment section so I make sure I get to it before we wrap up. We're going hard. We're going fast. We're going to have a good time today. First thing I want to get to, guys, before we even get to UFC 324, because there's a lot to get to there. A couple of fight announcements I haven't had a chance to talk about. And also this whole Jon Jones, Alex Pereira thing heating up a little bit. Starting with the Jon Jones thing. I don't know if you guys saw, John actually sent Alex Pereira a little message. This is courtesy, of course, of the Mac Live.
I beat a lot of legends from your country, my friend. I know you'd love to avenge the boys, but boy, would you be a good one to add to my list. Be careful what you wish for. Trauma.
All right, so there we go. Jon Jones, I suppose, putting down some kind of promotion for this fight. Jed Meshew, are we any closer to this thing being made, in your opinion, or is this just a sign that Jon Jones is somewhat vaguely interested in potentially coming back for this fight?
The issue with the fight isn't Jon, right? Like that doesn't seem to be the problem. It seems like Jon and Alex both want to fight. They both want to fight at the White House. The only thing standing in the way of that happening is Dana White and whether he decides to do it or not. And so, I think this is a good piece of promotion from Jon, frankly, right? Like he and Alex doing this, trying to build interest of a fight that I think has some juice to it. But I don't know that this moves the needle for whether it will happen, because it is entirely at the whim of one man. If Dana decides he wants to continue holding a grudge against Jon because of how Jon acted at the end of his career, again, a way in which the UFC allowed him to act, by the way, then he won't do it. And if he decides John has, made enough alms and oblations to me as the king of all things, I will take mercy and book this fight, then it'll happen. And I don't know why we're not announcing that fight. Like, it seems very obvious to just book that fight, do it. Most of the fan base wants it. The two fighters want it. It makes sense at the White House. We could stop all the chit chat about it and just do it, but it is entirely in Dana White's hands.
AB, how much do you think this is Dana White actually saying, hey, I don't know about this fight? Or is it him looking at what he did last time, the approach he had with Jon Jones, saying it was going to happen, how he's the greatest of all time, and realizing, hey, maybe I need to play my cards a little bit differently to get this fight together? What's your feel on Dana White's approach on this one?
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't know, like Jed said, why they wouldn't make this fight. If you make it a heavyweight fight, it's basically an exhibition. Like, it's not going to have any sort of bearing.
Because he said 205 Dana White or something. He was like, a 205, that's a fight. I'm like, brother, what are you saying? They're like,
yeah, that's what we need. What we need is John to move back to 205, win the belt.
Give us a year, another year for him to cut the weight. Like, what?
Yeah, no, the thing that makes sense is a heavyweight fight, because then there's no stakes. When I say stakes, I mean there's no hardware on the line, like there's obviously going to be stakes. John's going to be putting an undefeated record, in quotations on the line if you discard the Matt Hamill disqualification. And you got two of the biggest stars in the sport, even though John is really kind of something of a non-entity right now in terms of where he's at from a meritocracy standpoint, where he's ranked, etc. Doesn't really matter, but that's kind of what makes it fun, right? Like, you're bringing John back. It's one last hurrah for him. You see how he does against a guy who's basically kind of his age, I guess, in Poatan, and a guy who's been one of the biggest stars in the sport for the last 5 years or whatever it is, last 3 years at least. I just don't see any reason why you don't do this. If you're worried about it falling through, again, it doesn't make a difference because it's not a championship fight. It doesn't really matter at the grand scheme of things. And if you're going to worry about the light heavyweight division and the fact that you're going to hold that division up, you do an interim between Yuri and Carlos Alberg, and we move on with our lives, right? So to me, I think it's a fight you make if you want to have big stars on that White House card going against each other.
I think that's also interesting, right? Because Jon Jones, the greatest light heavyweight champion the company's ever had. Alex Pereira, he's like the light heavyweight champion. There's lots of different narratives there if you do it at heavyweight of like, okay, like there's a lot of roads that lead towards both of these guys. But Jed, just off Daniel's question here, what do you think it would take Dana White to schedule Jones versus Pereira? And also, I feel like maybe not on the White House. Is it one of those things where he doesn't put it on the White House card and just spreads it out another Paramount thing? Like, doesn't need to happen there? Or do you think because Donald Trump is such a big Jon Jones fan, it's
going to happen at the White House? I think it's still going to happen. I think Dana is just my best guess is that this is price negotiation, because if he can act like he's not interested, maybe he can get them to not try and ask for more money, because otherwise it doesn't make sense. As AB said, man, like, this doesn't have to be for anything. Create the king of the goat belt or whatever shit you want to put for hardware on it. It doesn't have to be at 205. Dana saying John at 205, as Aaron even pointed out, like, that would be awful if John won the light heavyweight belt. So that wouldn't even make sense. But Dana even throwing that out suggests that he's not opposed to this matchup. He is just not saying it for reasons that I do not understand. And so the only explanation I have is this is public negotiation. Oh, you really want this fight, John? You really wanted this last fight, and you really wanted the paycheck that we gave you, and then you didn't take it. So this is him just making this harder than it needs to be. I don't know. I think it's going to happen because it's the only fight that makes sense. Because the only other thing that kind of makes some sense is if Tom Aspinall is really out for a long time because of the multiple eye surgeries, and they decide we want to have an interim heavyweight belt, Gane versus Pereira for an interim heavyweight title, like, kind of makes some sense. But does anyone really care about that? No, like, the White House is supposed to be a big spectacle card. It's supposed to feel big. Dana is poo-pooing Conor McGregor fighting on that card. Conor is actually a person I would have real concerns about maybe making it to fight day, right? Whereas John, that's not usually been a huge blocker for him, and certainly for fights he wants, which this one is. So I think ultimately it's going to happen. We're just doing a very stupid song and dance about it for reasons that I don't understand.
It is interesting, just speaking of Conor McGregor, AB, because a great graphic from a great website, MMA Fighting. Look at this. No, that was a couple of years ago. No, that's Dana White reacting to the fight that we all thought was just a no-brainer, which was going to be Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler. AB, I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, I think the fight made sense. Was it a sexy fight that got me going? Maybe not. But if it isn't Michael Chandler, who is it, AB?
Yeah, I guess the question is what fight makes more sense than that fight? And the only answer I can think of is the Diaz Trilogy fight. You do Conor versus Diaz 3. Bring Diaz back for a fight. I mean, if you want to make the biggest possible Conor fight you can make right now, that's the one. But outside of that, like, what fight makes sense for Conor? I mean, if you're thinking 170 or 155 pounds, is there an opponent that would make more sense than Michael Chandler at this stage? I just can't really think of one. Again, aside from Diaz.
I have one.
Okay.
Who do you have there, Jed? Is it Masvidal?
No, it's not. Though I think that kind of makes sense. So I wrote about this for my Fighting Our Comments up today. After Dana said this, my initial reaction was, that's dumb. I think Michael Chandler makes sense. And then I thought about it and I was like, honestly, it's not that wrong. Like, to Aaron's point, like at the time, even it was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense, but that's not an undeniable fight. Yeah, they coached against each other tough, but like it makes sense from where they're at in their standpoint. And, they're both exciting fighters. But it's not necessary. It is not a fight that must happen or else we feel we've lost something, a la, Habib, Tony, something like that. It's just like, yeah, that'd be a fine fight to do. And that's sort of, I think, the place Conor's at right now. Him just coming back is big. And so I sort of thought through a bunch of people. Like Masvidal would be fine, but I think the fight that makes the most sense, as I thought through it, got really clear to me, because you have to think in the lens of the UFC. What is sense for the UFC?
What do you have, Jed? You building this?
It's the BMF belt, the winner of Charles versus Max, because that's a title that doesn't mean anything. So you're not holding up a title. Okay. Conor's already said he wants that. They'll probably beat him should that end up happening, but it feels big and it would be big. I think Nate makes the most sense, but I also think Nate is not realistic, because Nate is not going to come back to the UFC unless they're going to pay him. And that just seems unlikely at this point. But with the UFC's ethos this year of, we want to put on the biggest spectacle fights that are casually drawing, any fight with Conor is going to do that. But you put Conor for another belt, the first 3 belt champion in UFC history, possibly, against either super popular Max Holloway or super popular Charles Oliveira, and it doesn't actually hold up anything else that's going on, and it kind of takes care of one of your problems. Because if Max beats Charles, then your lightweight division's a little bit wonky, because like Ilia, Armin, the winner of Paddy versus Gaethje, they're all like in the mix, but suddenly Max and Charles are back in the mix. So you solve that problem, you put a fake belt on the line, everyone's kind of happy. I think that fight makes a ton of sense from the UFC's perspective.
Wow, that's a good perspective there. What do you think, AB? Are you down with that?
I think we need to resolve the unfinished business from Tough, and you have to have McGregor versus Uriah Faber. We've been waiting for such a long time for this. Uriah Faber versus Conor needs to happen.
That would kind of bang.
But yeah, but you know what? Like, does Charles / Max make sense for a BMF title for McGregor? I mean, sure. From a promotional standpoint, I can't say that it wouldn't make sense. I just think that Conor probably gets smoked by either of those guys at this stage in his career. And I think that you would agree with that. So Jed, we're not making very compelling submission radio today, but I agree with, listen, I'm open to a lot of what you say. And I like that you're willing to be something of a hot take doctor at times. And sometimes I will buy into that. And I think that this time around, you're making some good points.
Hot take doctor. But with Conor McGregor though, right? This has to be a welterweight. He can't make lightweight.
No, it's got to be a welterweight. I'm sure he could if he really wanted to put his mind to it. But it would probably be a welterweight fight, I would think. I just don't think welterweight or even higher. I just don't think that he's going to feel compelled to try to make lightweight for no reason.
And why not? And that's the thing about the BMF belt. You can just sort of do it wherever you want, and it's fine. So I think Nate would be the best option. I just think that that's almost not possible. And so of the other best options, if Chandler's off the table, why? Plus, then if Max wins, which I think he would kill Conor, he gets the Dustin Poirier is now a star bump, and you're making something off of Conor's name. So I think that is my best guess. If Conor fights, that's what happens.
Another sneaky one, if you don't mind.
Please.
I'm not saying that this is what happens, but What if Justin Gaethje loses to Paddy Pimblett at 324? A Gaethje versus McGregor fight might keep Justin Gaethje around, and I think that would be an incredible fight.
Yeah, that's a great that's a great fight too.
Not that I'm putting Gaethje in this retirement division, because Gaethje could very well beat Paddy Pimblett. The odds aren't that wide, but if he doesn't, I think that would be a compelling fight.
Everybody lock in, because I'm about to have a take that's going to get heaps of hate in the comment sections for the next few days. But if Justin Gaethje or even Paddy Pimblett wins this fight and somehow Conor McGregor comes out against whoever it is and looks somewhat alive, would anybody here be surprised if the UFC just slot him into a Justin Gaethje title fight for the lightweight belt, or a Paddy Pimblett title fight in a stadium or something over in Europe? Would anybody here be surprised if the UFC just pulled the trigger on it? With they've put Conor McGregor on so many Paramount Plus posters, and I'm pretty sure one of the big parts of this deal is them saying, yeah, maybe we can get Conor and Jones to fight a couple more times. Would you be surprised if that happens, AB?
Yeah, I'd be pretty surprised. I mean,
You'd be surprised?
Yeah, I'd be pretty surprised.
Especially against Gaethje if he wins the belt.
Would I be shocked? No, but I mean, I think that would be somewhat surprising to slot in a Conor McGregor who hasn't won in 6 years and have him fight for the title. I mean, listen, it's fight promotion; anything can happen. But that seems kind of against the ethos of what the UFC has done over the years. Like, I can't really think of an example like that where they've taken somebody from that far removed from their last win and put them into a title shot. It just doesn't seem to happen.
Sure, but we got Paddy Pimblett there. He doesn't have any wins over anyone in the top 10. Jed,
it would be a big fight, but Conor versus really anybody would be a big fight. So why mess with a division?
Aaron, would you like a crispy, clear example of exactly what you just asked for? A guy that far removed?
One probably exists, but shoot.
Not only does it exist, it's actually extremely recent, Aaron. I don't know if you've ever heard of a man named Stipe Miocic. He hadn't won a fight since 2020, and he got to fight John Jones for the heavyweight belt in 2024. So yeah, it's a little more recent than Conor, certainly. But
and they're not even like a quarter of the draw of Conor McGregor, or that's important to their business model.
Have you noticed since that fight, nobody talks about Stipe anymore? It's like he's completely left. Possibly the greatest heavyweight in UFC history still. Like,
I don't think that's even really arguable. I think it just is.
And like people just don't talk about him at all anymore, which is really unfortunate, to be honest. Because Stipe
and also one of the nicest dudes, like a responder fighter, and took that John Jones fight. Like, didn't look like he could even properly walk like in that fight. Like, was just no appreciation. Yeah, that's the thing. You get paid, but then your legacy takes a hit, right? But it's all about making money at the end of the day, so you can't be a mark. But I feel bad for Stipe; he deserves more respect. Anyway,
I'm gonna disagree with Aaron here. I wouldn't be shocked. I agree that I don't think it's likely, but I think anything is on the table right now, because I would have bet you any amount of money that Diego Lopes versus Alexander Volkanovski 2 was not going to happen, and here we are. And in the world of Conor McGregor, the rules, such as they are, super don't apply. So like, it's non-zero that Conor fights Islam for the welterweight belt, just because it would be awful and a travesty. But like, I won't be shocked by anything that happens with the UFC booking Conor McGregor. Like, just there's nothing that would shock me.
Dude, it's still the lottery. Everybody wants to fight him. Islam Makhachev himself was like, obviously they don't like Conor McGregor, but was still giving him compliments in terms of his skills and this and that just not long ago. Trust me, if this guy wins, everybody's going to be after him. But the question is going to be who it's going to be. I would love to see Nate Diaz at the White House, but let's see what happens. Let's see how it plays out. If it is Jorge Masvidal, is that worse than Michael Chandler, AB, you reckon, in your opinion? Or is that a better fight?
I think that's definitely not a better fight. It's not a competitive fight, right? So it's like, it's not a better fight. Yeah. But listen, this is the thing with Conor, is like, whoever you put him against, it's going to sell. It's going to be a big fight. So you don't really need to like put him into title pictures, especially at 170, where there's like a million contenders right now. So, I mean, I don't think that would be something that would make any sense.
I remember the Cerrone fight was a bit of a weird one back in the day. So, and that's still sold. So that was on my birthday too. All right. So we got UFC 324. It's right around the corner. The big return. Jed Meshew. I'm going to bring up the card right here. I want to go to you first. And please give me your honest rating here. Obviously, we had a big hit to the card with Kayla Harrison out. We'll talk about that in just a second. But as it stands, still a hell of a card. Have a look at this bad boy. And if you're really sort of judging it from the prelim card upwards, there are a number of bangers. Also interesting to see Michael Johnson back in the mix. earlier on in the night. What are you giving this card out of 10?
Out of 10? Good. 8.5, 9. I think it's a really good card. It would obviously be a little bit better with the Amanda Nunes versus Kayla Harrison fight added to it. That's a little more juice. But I said we did an immediate reaction when that fight officially fell off. And I was like, I think the card can take it. Everything is relative. In the context of the greatest fight cards the UFC's ever produced, it's not up there. But I think this card is extremely good at what the UFC's goal is. And their goal is, hey, this is our first step forward. This is our new job. We have a new job, and it is called Paramount Plus. And our first week at work, we want to show you, our best stuff. And maybe not from like a high level competitive standpoint, right? These are not the best fights that can be made. Top to bottom, almost everything I'm looking at right now is a banger. And so with Paramount Plus here in America, I don't actually know how this affects you over in Australia, Dennis, but like there's no longer a massive paywall of $80 to watch this. And so on Saturday, you're going to get people who have never watched UFC or have only seen one or two UFCs who just have CBS Paramount tune in. And they're going to be like, they're going to tune in and you're going to watch John Silva, one of the most exciting fighters in the world, go to battle. You're going to watch Sean O'Malley, a guy they maybe have even heard of, in a banger of a fight. All of these fights will produce a good feeling for casual observers, which I think is the goal here, and maybe make some new UFC fans come Sunday. So I think this is a fun card, a really quality card for what they're shooting for.
Yeah, it feels to me like AB, they're resetting everything, right? They're setting some new faces, new stars. They're kind of relying a lot of new people tuning back into the sport just to get a temperature check to where it's at. And I think, that's one of the reasons why Paddy Pimblett is in this position. We got Waldo in that great position against Derek Lewis as well for the heavyweight division. But what is your rating on this card, AB? Is it as high as Jed's? Is it higher? How do you feel about it?
It's in the same ballpark. I mean, I think when you look at it from top to bottom, like Jed said, just great matchmaking, fights that are going to produce highlights and excitement throughout. And that's kind of what you want from a card like this, is just you look at it from top to bottom, you see these fights and you can be like, oh yeah, that one's going to be exciting. That one's going to be great. It's a great way to start the year also. And people are so hungry right now for an event. It's been 5-6 weeks once that fight kicks off that you're going to just be really excited for whatever it is. And now that it's something that is of this kind of quality and has big stakes in the different divisions, like I think that is a recipe for success.
And just for those wondering, of course, Aaron and I and the people in our respective countries are still paying for pay-per-view. For those wondering, it's on KO Sport here, main event in Australia, and people are going to be roughly paying about $60 Australian, which is still much, much cheaper than what you guys are paying, Jed, in the States. And Aaron, over
that
in
ain't
Canada,
cheap though.
It ain't cheap, especially when people know that it's free in America. Aaron, also, is that around the same price point over in Canada?
Yeah, thereabouts. It's on Sportsnet Plus, just like every event for the whole year.
Great. So there you go. So that's just because I know people are asking in the comment section with the dealers, and also New Zealand as well. So still pay-per-view markets out there, still things happening. Let's talk about the main event. Actually, before we talk about the main event, I do want to talk about Kayla Harrison first. Brutal situation with Kayla Harrison. Neck injury, surgery. We all saw her update on social media. It was heartbreaking to see her in that hospital. Looked like she used a Game Boy camera. That video could not be more pixelated, but it also delivered very, very sad news to everybody as we saw what exactly Kayla was going through. Jed, when you see Kayla Harrison going through the surgery, when you see that this fight is off with Amanda Nunes, how do you feel about the future for this Amanda-Kayla fight? Do you feel like we're going to be able to get it? Surely this isn't going to happen by the White House card, but also, does it still make you want to watch that fight at, at this weight class? Do you want to see maybe Kayla and Amanda do it at a higher weight class so we can see Kayla sort of recover better and come back sooner? What is your feel on this fight?
My feeling hasn't changed on this fight. I am not a medical doctor, so I don't know if the White House timeline fits. I've tried to ask some people, and since I don't know specifically enough about the surgery she got, based on some people I've talked to, vertebrate surgery or whatever, like for herniated disc or whatever, can be relatively quick recovery, or it can take a lot longer. So I just have no concept for whether the White House is a timeline that's possible. If it is, that obviously would make a ton of sense to put this fight on the White House card. But if it's not, I'm fine waiting. I think women's bantamweight is not a division that's full of humans right now that are like jockeying for position. And so if this gets delayed a little bit more, this fight's awesome. And I'm okay waiting. It would have been cooler to have it this weekend. But my first reaction was, I kind of wish they'd have Amanda fight somebody, because I would prefer this fight happen at 145, but I felt that way beforehand. Like there's just no reason to do the weight cut for them. But what I'd like to see, maybe it couldn't happen this weekend, though I think they maybe tried to get something replaced this weekend. It couldn't. Amanda's been out for so long. Like, let her get a tune-up fight. What's Miocic Tate doing? Book her against Miocic Tate. If Kayla's going to be out for 8 months, book her against Miocic Tate in a couple of weeks and let Amanda just like flex the muscles again, show the people who weren't even fans at the time, oh, this is who she is, and it makes that fight bigger. You don't want to give her someone that maybe she loses to, so it really needs to be a tune-up fight, but I think there's a window to do that. I don't know if they're going to, but that's what I'd like to see, frankly.
It's one of the things boxing do pretty well, actually, Aaron, bringing in a champion, giving them like a somewhat easy tune-up fight just to keep them going while things are cooking. Even this question from Joseph right here, since we lose it, do we get an interim women's bantamweight champion crowned at some point? What do you think, Aaron? It's a pretty serious injury with Kayla's neck, but there's also questions around her getting down to that weight. For people that don't realize, when you cut weight, it's extremely difficult on your body, and with a tough recovery with her neck, having to get back into training, and then having to get back down to that weight, we're probably adding months to the timeline of Kayla's return.
Yeah, to me, I think you kind of put it in Amanda's, you put it in her ballpark. You just say, hey, these are the circumstances. Do you want a tune-up fight? Like, do you want a fight before you face Kayla, just to see, to get that feeling back? And if she says, no, I came back so I could fight Kayla, then you protect that fight, and you wait for Kayla to be healthy, and you make that fight. If she wants to fight and she says, yeah, I've got the itch, I really, I'm coming back not just for this one fight, I want to show that I'm still who I was, then you give her a fight. But I think you kind of, let her decide and see where the dominoes fall, because right now, like, making an interim title fight, to me, doesn't make a ton of sense, because this division has no business right now. Like, there's just nothing going on. Nobody's clamoring to see like Norma Dumont fight like an interim title fight against, like, I don't know, Macy Chiasson or something like that, right? Like, unfortunately, one of the biggest issues with this division is, outside of Kayla Harrison, no other really viable title challengers have emerged. I mean, Norma Dumont is probably the best we've got. And over the years, it seems like all of the people that were kind of jockeying for position were beating each other. And that prevented anybody from really rising in this division. We haven't seen any great prospects. The closest thing we have is probably Bea Mesquita, who's 35. We just don't have
prospect. That's a prospect.
That's the prospect in this division, because of how new she is to MMA. Like, that's the prospect, right? So, like, we don't have a whole lot to hang our hat on right now in this women's bantamweight division, aside from a mega fight, which could lead to a rematch, which would be another mega fight. Like, I think you just protect this. You protect Kayla versus Amanda. You wait for Kayla to be ready, and you make that fight when that can happen. Because right now, I just think that anything else you do there is going to be a bit ho-hum.
But I'll tell you what, though, man, if you don't do anything, like, that division just stays on ice. You got to get him out in front of the fans' eyes. I mean, if you get Amanda Nunes just out there nuking people, right, at least people are going to know that the division exists. That's just
sort of my thought. But, like, I mean,
as a promoter, I'm not a promoter, but it's just like, got to do something, right?
Yeah, it's kind of two schools of thought, right? Because I get that perspective where, like, you want to put Amanda out there, you want her to look good, but man, if it's MMA, and if you slip on a banana peel and you lose, like, that division is toast. I mean, am I right? Like, it's kind of a big bet on Amanda Nunes, who we haven't seen fight in 3 years now, and she's 37, 38 years old. Like, you're kind of playing with fire if you do that. So I think you just kind of wait. You wait for Kayla to be healthy, and you kind of wrap Amanda in bubble wrap for the time being, and hope that fight just stays together.
It's hard to argue. I think Aaron had it right, of like, this is just in Amanda's court. She gets to decide. Because, like, yeah, that makes the most sense. But, like, I wish Amanda would decide. Selfishly, I would like to see her fight, so I know if she can still fight. I have no concept if she can fight. She hasn't fought in a while. I'm sure she's still decent, because she was very, very good. But, like, it's a long layoff, and that's why Norma Dumont would be terrible. I will call for Miocic Tate until she is booked to fight Kayla Harrison, because she won't lose to Miocic Tate. That's just not possible. and I could see her kill somebody and be like, oh man, this still got the juice. Now I'm even more excited for the Kayla fight.
Yeah, it's interesting. Her last fight was all the way back in 2023. Man, time really flies. So I guess we'll see what happens there. But we've still got a great main event between Justin Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett. A lot has been said about the alleged, staph infection and how it's going to impact Justin Gaethje at 37 years old. We saw a fresh and pretty happy Paddy Pimblett at the media workout just the other day. He looks ready. He looks set. He looks like he's ready to take advantage of this opportunity with both hands. Aaron Bronsteter, Paddy Pimblett breaks down his game plan and says it's not just going to be him running in for a takedown. Him and his coaches have a comprehensive game plan where he's going to fight Justin in a number of areas before he gets the win. How do you feel about his chances here against Justin Gaethje now that we've seen him at this open workout, now that we're closer to the fight and it's just under a week away? Do you still believe, I believe you picked Paddy Pimblett last time we spoke, do you still believe that's the case going in here?
I'm picking him, but with not a high level of confidence. Like I think that this is a really close fight, and I think that the one thing that he has going for him is something similar to what Charles Oliveira has, where when Gaethje hurt Oliveira, and you watch that fight that from Arizona, whatever it was, 2-3 years ago, every time that Charles was hurt, he went to his back. He rolled to his back and invited him in and said, "Hey, if you want to play here, let's play on the ground." And Gaethje would not engage at all. And that gave Charles the time to recover. I think that is something that Paddy Pimblett should have in his back pocket if he gets hurt in a fight with Justin Gaethje. Because the one thing we haven't seen is Gaethje face, I guess he fought, sorry, not Gaethje, but Paddy. Like he fought Chandler, but he hasn't really fought like a pure striker. And I know Justin Gaethje has a bit of a wrestling background, but like Gaethje's plan, we know what Gaethje's going to do. He's going to walk forward. He's going to walk you down, and he's going to try to bait you into a firefight. And we haven't really seen Paddy fight that kind of fight, especially against somebody the level of Justin Gaethje. And I still think that Justin Gaethje is a high-level fighter. So I think that this is going to be a really close fight. But I do think that if Paddy uses that as a strategy where if Gaethje hurts him or he doesn't want to engage in this anymore, roll to your back, invite him to the ground, take a breather, and then re-engage. I think that is a tactic that Charles Oliveira used really well. I don't know if Paddy's ground game is anywhere near the level of Charles Oliveira, but I do know that Paddy's got a lot of tricks on the ground that I don't think Gaethje wants to play around with.
It's interesting as well. 5-round fight, Gaethje, a veteran. By no means a great 5-round fighter. We've seen him sort of lose things towards the end of the past. But Paddy Pimblett, he hasn't won a 5-round fight since 2016. I believe, let me have a look at this. Yeah, 2016 Cage Warriors Unplugged one. He lost his following 2 5-round fights and hasn't had a 5-round fight since. Jed Meshew, Justin Gaethje, of course, a veteran, experienced. He's going to want to take away the space from Paddy Pimblett. That's what he said to me. He wants to take the space away from the octagon. He wants to get in, and he wants to take advantage of Paddy Pimblett's openings as he moves backwards with what Justin Gaethje hopes is his chin in the air. But we know Paddy Pimblett is very durable. For yourself, how do you feel this fight's going to play out? Do you believe that Justin Gaethje is going to be able to catch Pimblett before Pimblett eventually does get him on the ground?
I think Paddy should be a very small favorite. I'm going to pick Justin Gaethje to win. I don't have a massive amount of confidence in that because this is just like, for as much as Paddy wants to say he's going to strike with him, because he's going to strike with him if he has to, because his choice should not be to strike with him. Paddy's chin is wide open, up in the air, and Justin Gaethje is one of the hardest hitting dudes in this weight class, if not the single hardest puncher in the division. So it would be really bad for him to willingly engage in a kickboxing match with Gaethje, especially given like Gaethje is a good wrestler. Gaethje is not a good grappler. His entire career has pretty convincingly proven that when you get him down, he can be taken advantage of on the ground. Getting him down might be tricky, but Paddy is a very talented grappler. If he gets takedowns, he's going to win this fight, I think, comfortably. It is a question of if he gets them before he gets got. I think he is younger. Gaethje is certainly not at his best anymore, even if he's still very talented and still good. So, like, it makes sense that Paddy would be a slight favorite, but it is hard for me to believe it will happen until it does. And his chin is so up in the air, and Gaethje is still really, really good at fighting. So I'm picking Gaethje in this fight, but like, yeah, it is a coin flip to me, really.
Jed, are you in a solarium right now? What's going on?
I was
with
gonna
your
say
room?
he's turned blue like the girl in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. Like,
Every time I do it only is on your show, Dennis, and it's only because we do it on Sundays at this hour. My work desk is right in front of a big window outside.
Oh, look,
you're back. You're back.
It's a gorgeous day outside, but when there gets like a touch of cloud cover, I look blue instead of just having natural lighting. Happens every time I'm on the show.
I love it. That's very aesthetic.
Roll Jed right out of the chocolate factory.
Get him some
that
goggles.
Everlasting gobstopper.
Blueberry pie.
Paddy Pimblett, Aaron Bronsteter, we have someone in the comment section talking about the open workout. He said if he beats Justin Gaethje, he's willing to fight Armin. But do you think Dana White would let that fight happen? Of course, he's not the biggest Armin Sarukian. Also, Paddy Pimblett versus Ilia Topuria. If Paddy Pimblett wins, that's basically a lock, right? Outside of this whole Conor McGregor and other crazy nut job scenarios.
Yeah, I mean, unless Ilia is sitting out the year or something, which from all indications, it doesn't seem is on the table right now. I think that Paddy versus Ilia is a fight that's been like they're almost rolling the dice by putting Paddy against Gaethje and losing that fight because I think a lot of people have wanted to see Ilia versus Paddy for some time.
It's gonna be so interesting, man. I can't wait to see what happens with this whole situation, with who wins, how the fight gets impacted. Jed, let me ask you this about Justin Gaethje. If he goes out here, things don't go to plan. Things don't go to plan at UFC 324. Do you believe this could be the last time that we see him? I mean, for me, he spoke to me about how he doesn't have long left in the sport. Feels like if he doesn't get the win here, I think he might maybe hang them up early. If he does, he might hang around for a little bit longer. He told me personally that he wants the BMF title fight after a win over Paddy Pimblett if he becomes champion. But do you think this could be it for him if he loses against Paddy Pimblett?
Like 95% sure it will be it for him if he loses. I mean, Justin's been really clear. Like, he doesn't want to do this forever. He is cognizant of his style being one where he has sustained a lot of damage. He wants to leave the sport relatively healthy, or as healthy as he can be. When his title aspirations are no longer viable, he intends to leave. Losing this pretty much makes that a certainty. The only way he'd stay, I didn't really consider this, but maybe the Conor fight, like you mentioned earlier, if that becomes on offer, maybe that's too good an opportunity to pass up. Or if he sees a path to another BMF title fight, maybe. But I don't know what that path is if he loses to Pimblett, right? Like, he'd have to fight somebody else. In my personal, dreams and hopes, he would fight Benoit Saint-Denis after Benoit Saint-Denis kills Mauricio Huffy, because that just makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. The most violent fighter ever versus the next guy to take that mantle very soon. But like, does he want to fight BSD on the hopes that gets him a BMF title fight? Probably not. So I think it is extremely likely that a loss on Saturday is the last time we see Justin Gaethje, which is in part why I'm transparently rooting for Justin Gaethje to beat Paddy Pimblett on Saturday. I am not ready for his career to be done.
This whole title situation is going to be fascinating. I see Ilia Topuria saying he wants to come back in the third quarter, AB. He's coming back to the lightweight division, right? He's not going to try to do this Fugazi welterweight stuff, is he?
I don't think so. I think if Paddy wins, that's a fight that I think he really wants. And it's no disrespect to Paddy.
Even Gaethje, though? Like, Gaethje, that's a good
Gaethje too. Yeah, I think if Gaethje wins, he
too.
would definitely come back for that fight. That stylistically is an even better fight for him than Paddy. But yeah, and further to what Jed said, I think, I spoke to Justin in December, and he said if he gets knocked out one more time, he's calling it a day. That was the method of defeat that would take him out of this game. So, I mean, if Paddy submits him or somehow wins a decision, something along those lines, I could see Gaethje sticking around for another fight or two. But Gaethje has said that his expiry date is when he suffers a knockout. That's kind of what is the demarcation line for him in terms of whether or not he resumes his career. So I'm eager to see what happens in that fight. And like Jed, like I'm kind of not ready to as soon as you said Gaethje versus BSD, I was like, oh my God, we need to see that fight. Like, it's the fight I've been wanting for like 2 years, man.
I
mean, an amazing fight. So let's hope that something good happens here where we can see that fight. It's if Paddy submits him in the fourth round or something, maybe we could see that fight. So I mean, yeah, that's got me thinking. But you know what? Whatever happens with Gaethje, I think that I really hope that he gets the kudos that he deserves for the career that he's had, because he's put on, honestly, some of the most entertaining fights. If you're looking at who has been the most entertaining fighter in UFC history, I think, or MMA history rather, it's got to be Justin Gaethje. Like, who has had more fights that are like 9 to 10 out of 10 fights consistently? It's like, I can't think of anybody. Like maybe Charles Oliveira, but Charles has also had some fights that haven't been that good. But okay, go ahead. Who's your other choice?
I think it's Gaethje. The only person I'm willing to have the conversation with is Robbie Lawler.
Yeah, but Robbie's also had some fights that, like the first Rory McDonald fight wasn't great. Like there have been some fights where you can point to and say, but every Gaethje fight's been great. Like there's not a single Gaethje fight you can point to where you're like, not like, you can even go back to his days in World Series of fighting against like Louis
worst
Palomino.
Gaethje fights are the Fiziev fights. Like those are the worst.
And those are amazing fights. Like those are some of the fights of the year.
Ludicrous to say.
100%. Gaethje,
I think Yuri has Yuri's building a case because that dude is
Yuri has some kind of boring fights. That's true. Like if you go to Yuri's resume,
but like I love that he started saying, "I'm the most exciting fighter in the history of the sport," because I've been saying that for years, and it's like, you are. Like, you should wear that crown proudly because it is yours, and nobody else can really say it, and it rocks. I love him so much.
You know what's crazy about Justin Gaethje? He was fighting Tony Ferguson in that pivotal COVID time, and now he finds himself back in here as they relaunch the brand on Paramount Plus. Comes over from World Series of Fighting, has his issues, gets stopped by Eddie Alvarez and Dustin Poirier. All of us talking about how maybe he doesn't have a style to survive in the UFC, how maybe he's never going to be the same again, and then goes on to beat James Wick, Edson Barbosa, Donald Cerrone, Tony Ferguson, of course, loses to Khabib, comes back against Michael Chandler, has another title shot there against Charles Oliveira, and then boom, here we are again. Fiziev, we got Poirier here. Max Holloway lost to now Fiziev again, and now he's back in the title picture. I mean, Robbie Lawler as well had his losses and then came back and was able to have that successful run. But I think it just says a lot about a fighter to be able to turn things around to the level of Justin Gaethje and stay in the sport long enough to be in these positions and be so loved by fans. I think in this era, there's a number of fighters that are loved by fans, guys like Justin Gaethje, Dan Hooker, and the like. And I think it could be a rarity going forward in the sport, right? Because things have really changed. So it's good to celebrate those guys and really enjoy them while they're still around. So congratulations to Justin Gaethje. I know he told me he was a little bit bummed out because some fans were saying negative stuff and comments about him getting this opportunity. But man, he's got to celebrate this chance of getting this title, even if it's another interim belt, because it's incredible. So congratulations to him and his team. Let's talk about Sean O'Malley, though, because I have a lot of questions here from fans about what happens to his legacy. Let's bring up Cosmo Kramer's one. What is Sean's legacy if he loses against Song? He never gets back into the title picture ever again. Jed, obviously Piotr Jan is the champion right now. Things are set at the table. The dinner's ready. It's hot. It's ready to go. The cokes are being set up. Beautiful little settings. Everything's ready. All Sean needs to do is really win. And I'm guessing the UFC is just going to catapult him back into that title shot. Do you think if he loses, how bad do you think a loss here, UFC 324, impacts him, his legacy, and what happens in the future with him?
It's pretty bad. It's there's not really a way to spin it for O'Malley. I mean, he came out on his own podcast and was like, look, if I lose to Song, that's not the end of my career. But if I lose to Song and I lose another one after that, maybe I do just hang it up. You know, fighters don't often come back from 3 or 4 fight losing streaks, and that's on the table. Now it'd be against elite dudes, right? But it's tough, and his legacy is going to be weird anyway, because his run to the title was weird. He deserved a title fight in the fact that he beat Piotr Jan. And so but he got the Piotr Jan fight when he was ranked 15. Most people didn't think he actually won that fight, even though you can absolutely make the case that he did. And then he killed Aljo, but then his first title defense was against Cheeto in a fairly shambolic title fight. So he does not have a great legacy as far as what he actually accomplished as a championship level fighter. And so if he is now removed from that because a loss to Song puts him not impossibly far out. He does have the win over Jan. If Jan holds the belt, he's not that far out. It sets him back in a pretty major way, and it puts his back against the wall for the next fight afterwards. So it's not critically this is not life support for his career, but he is backed into a very big corner if he does not beat Song Yadong on Saturday.
Aaron, how damaging could this be for him if he loses?
Yeah, it's kind of wild because the stakes are so high for him in this fight. A loss to Song puts him way back in the division. Listen, he's Sean O'Malley. He needs to win 2 more fights and he's right back in the picture if he loses to Song. But at the same time, a win, like if Merab wants to take time off, he could be fighting for the title in like 4 months, right? Like it's crazy how
it might not even matter if Merab wants to take time off.
100%. I mean, you're definitely right about that. So, if he loses to Song, he might move to 145 and try to carve an easier path to another title shot.
Interesting.
I think if he wants to kind of, renew his career, that could be a move to make. He's a big guy for 135 pounds. But I do think that like the stakes are just so high for this fight in terms of his future, because you start to doubt yourself. Like I don't doubt the skills of Sean O'Malley. I think Sean O'Malley is a terrific fighter. I think he's great everywhere. I think a lot of people don't give him his due when it comes to how good of a fighter he is. But I also think that as a fighter, he's going to start doubting himself pretty hard if he ends up losing this fight. Loses those 2 fights to Merab, gets finished in one of them, then goes on and loses to Song Yadong. Like, you're going to start to think to yourself, do I still have it? Do I still have, am I as good as I thought I was? Those are the kind of doubts that can crush a career and crush someone's confidence. So this is such a pivotal moment for his career, especially given that he's, on the cusp of 30 or something along those lines in terms of his age.
31,
Yeah, 31. Like that, this is kind of make or break time as a bantamweight.
Yeah, you know what else is crazy? This is the first time the UFC have kind of put him in this make or break position, right? Because every time Sean O'Malley would usually get into the octagon, it would be, a situation where he would gain, right? It would be like, all right, like if he loses here, whatever, but if he wins, this is really going to catapult him. And now he's in that position with Song where it's like, all right, well, like if Song loses, whatever, it's Sean O'Malley. But if you lose, Sean, this is going to, now he's on the other side of it. You know what I mean? And it's going to be interesting to see how he handles it. But you can't also discount the fact the guy fought Merab twice back to back. Like, that is insane. And even though the last fight was not great, I mean, who does great against Merab? It's interesting in the division, though, because we got Umar taking on Figgy on the same card, Jed. So let's say Umar wins. Let's say Sean wins. We've got Merab floating around the division. How are you booking who gets this next title shot against Petr Yan? How are you booking the winners between Umar and Sean? How would you book it?
So how I would book it, not what's going to happen?
Give me both scenarios.
Well, because those are different. Because how I would book it is very obviously Merab Dvalishvili deserves a trilogy fight with Petr Yan. Whenever that happens, that is what should happen next. Both men have beaten each other, and both fights were fairly one-sided. This is the history of the sport, says you do it a third time for all the marbles. So that is how I would book the title fight. And then Umar is waiting in the wings. If, depending on your timeline, you need it, you do Umar versus Sean, and that's justified, right? Then there are no doubts, or I guess versus Song as well. There's no doubt about it. That's easy to do. I think if Sean beats Song, he is going to fight Petr Yan for stuff that Aaron had said earlier about the Amanda Kayla fight. That is a fight that's at risk. If you have Petr fight Merab, maybe Merab beats him this time, and you've lost the Sean Petr 2 for a belt fight. And
That's
so
true.
I think if Sean beats Song, the White House card will have Petr Yan versus Sean O'Malley on it, and Merab will be told to, hey, like, we're gonna you'll get up, you'll get next. Maybe don't make a big deal out of this publicly. Say you have a twisted ankle or something, because this is the business we want to do, and it's obviously not fair, but fair ain't got nothing to do with things at this moment in time.
Yeah, he'll be like, I have a broken leg, but I'll still fight. Like, no, you're not understanding what we're saying. Just say you can't fight. Aaron, where does that leave Umar if that is the situation, though?
Yeah, it's tricky, right? Because Umar would kind of be third in line at that point in time. And I don't know who else Umar would make sense to fight against if you look at the bantamweight division, right? Like you could put Peyton Talbot against him and make a fun fight, Like that's a kind of thing where you say to Umar, hey, we're going to give you a fight against the guy that's ranked lower in this division. It'll be a fight that kind of keeps you busy, and it would mean a lot to us if you take it. But there's just this is why I'm confused by one thing, and it's not necessarily confused because I understand what the UFC is doing. Like, you want to keep as many contenders out there as possible, but you've got Umar and O'Malley fighting on the same card, but not against each other. Like, wouldn't it have made more sense to have them face each other? Now you've got either Merab or the winner of that fight fighting next, and then that way you have your bantamweight division for the year kind of cleared up, and whoever loses that fight between Umar and O'Malley can kind of make up ground as those other fights take place. That's one way you could book it, but I understand the UFC's perspective and why they booked it this way, because now you're keeping more contenders at play and you have more choices as to what title fights to make. You have more cards in your deck. So I kind of get it, but at the same time, you have two of the best bantamweights in the world fighting on the same card against different people. Why not just get it out of the way and put those guys against each other? If it was for a title down the road, that's a much bigger fight. I understand that as well, but these are the kind of things you have to look at when you're booking this division. I know Jed disagrees, but I'm just kind of putting it out there as an option. Like, what would have been the harm of making that fight?
I think you're absolutely correct. I'll tell you the harm. The harm is Sean O'Malley loses, and they want Sean O'Malley in title fights if they can do it. Like, that is, to me, why this happened.
Yeah.
Because they don't want Sean. They want to give Sean a viable fight that is winnable. And I think that's exactly what they've done. There's nothing wrong with him fighting Song. And, he's the favorite, and I think justifiably so. Like, he can win this. Whereas Umar beats him, then it's like, we have to have Umar fight, but we'd really rather Sean fight Petr Yan. That feels much more like a thing we'd want. But you're right from like a totally correct way to view things. Ab's 100% on board with what you're saying.
Yeah, like, I think they could have gone either way with it. Like, I don't think that it's either or. I think that both scenarios kind of make sense depending on what your vision board is, so to speak, for the bantamweight division.
Do you think Dana White has a vision board? That would be
his
awesome.
favorite combat sports movie is Vision Quest. So yes, I do. I think he does have a vision board.
Just
imagine they make Merab
everywhere.
Imagine they make Merab fight Umar. That would be rough for both guys. Like, hey guys, we're just gonna get Sean to fight Petr, but you guys get a fun fight. We're gonna put you in the main event of the UFC Sheboygan.
I think Aaron actually might have nailed it. I think Aaron might have nailed it. I think if Umar wins and like nobody gets hurt and he's not in the mix, Peyton Talbot sort of feels like exactly the fight to make. We're just like, yeah, you get a popular guy, you stay busy. If Talbot wins, hell yeah, our next guy is here. It feels, honestly, that fight feels exactly like Petr Yan fighting Sean O'Malley the first time.
The thing about Song as well is he's actually a fun fight for Sean O'Malley, right? Maybe we see a big knockout, but at the same time, he's going to come after Sean. So he better be ready for some action, because that guy he loves a good time. By the way, when you guys look at the card like this is of course off Wikipedia. Do you think it stays like this? Do you think Umar will stay the main event of the prelim card and this is how they keep the main card? Or would you move some stuff around? I'll go with you first, Jed. Would you move stuff around, or do you like the way that this is structured?
I think that they did the right thing here. You could convince me that you should move Ateba Gauthier above Umar and Figgy, just because that is going to be a violent knockout and you can build towards the main card with something exciting. But also, that's from a like previous perspective, whereas now it's all, at least again for us, not for y'all, but for us, it's all on the same banner. So it doesn't really matter fight 6 versus fight 5. I think it makes sense because the other fight in contention is the Natalia Silva versus Rose Namajunas, but that fight is a title eliminator. It doesn't carry that designation, but it is 100% a title eliminator. And so that deserves to get the shine of a main card. So I think they did just fine with how it all worked out.
All these fights actually have a lot on the line. Arnold Allen, someone who's been in the rankings for a long time, but hasn't fought for even longer time. As a matter of fact, his last fight, for anybody who has been following, was in 2024. It was his win against Giga. He won a decision, unanimous decision. He's back against Jan Silva. Now, Aaron, Silva is still a big name in the division. It feels like they're setting him up to throw him right back into the mix if things go his way. Am I wrong? Am I getting the wrong feeling here? How big would a win be here for Silva, especially goes out there and looks like the Silva of old and not kind of the mess that we saw against Diego Lopes?
I'll take it one further. If Silva wins this fight, he's probably fighting next for the title.
Woo!
I think that he fights the winner of Volkanovski and Diego Lopez. No disrespect to Lerone Murphy and no disrespect to...
I'm the hot take artist, but look at you.
I think
someone's cooking.
They put that guy right on the fast track to the title. Even if it's a rematch with Diego. I think that that's how highly they think of Gian Silva. And I also think that they're probably going to, if I had to guess, they're going to match up Lerone Murphy and Evloev down the road.
Yeah.
That is
And
the rumor
UK.
for UFC
And
London.
Yeah, if they are going to do that, I think that you turn around the featherweight champion and you have them face Silva next.
Can I ask you a question? I love this take. This is an incredible take. If
I knew you'd like it, Jed. I mean, you hadn't thought of it yet. And you're like,
I hadn't. This is an incredible take.
Incredible take. Just yet.
This is an incredible take. I wish I had it. If Lopez beats Volk, do you think they do Volk Lopez 3, or do we just run John Silva in a second time?
I'd just be surprised if Volk sticks around. Like, I think if Volk loses to Lopez, he calls it a day. If he doesn't call it a day, he takes time. Like, he's not going to rush back into a fight with Diego Lopez.
He's very
because
smart like that.
if he loses to Diego Lopez, I think it's probably going to be inside the distance, so to speak. if you want me to be honest about it, I don't think that Diego Lopez is winning a decision against Volk.
Nah, no way. I think this card is set to basically. I'll be honest. Like, I spoke to obviously Volkanovski's coach, and he told me, look, this is what he said, and I don't know if this is actually what's going to happen, but he told me this is the last time Alex Volkanovski is fighting a young contender. If he stays around, he'll fight another legend and probably retire after that. Now, Volkanovski might have other plans. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but no doubt about it, if he loses, I reckon he will be retiring. And even if he wins, I don't see it. I see maybe he could retire if he wins. Why would they do a fight in Sydney a week later? Come on, guys. Why would they do this whole thing, delay this December fight, put him in Sydney a week later, move all this stuff around for him to fight in front of his home crowd and against Diego Lopez as well? Like, not really a fight anyone would really want to take. Like, come on, this has to be like a setup to say goodbye, no? Jed?
I've been saying that for months, and you were like, no, Volk's not going to. You told me Volk wasn't going to retire.
Well, I changed my mind.
It's like, it makes the most sense in the world to retire after this. And when you said it, and then the way Volk has talked, I've been talked off of that because Volk, whatever his coach said, has come out and been like, my plan for 2026, I'm going to beat Diego Lopez again. I'm going to do it dominantly. I'll fight one more contender, either Movsar or Lerone Murphy. If they're fighting, that makes that easy. And then I'll go up again. I'll fight for the lightweight belt one last time. And honestly, when he lays it out like that, I don't know if he can do that. Like, I don't know if he can beat Diego this time around, much less beat Diego and then beat Movsar or Lerone Murphy. But like, that is a real fairy tale sort of career right there of, okay, it would be a great ending to retire on a Diego Lopez win. I think he should do that. But fighters never know when to walk away. They always want more. They always think they can get more. And given what Volk has accomplished in his career, it's justifiable to think that he, that's a real belief for him to have. And so, like, I'm now, in part because of you, Dennis, don't think he's going to retire, even though I think he should.
We all know he's on a crazy contract because he took that second Islam fight. Fighting is about making money. At the end of the day, it's a business. And Alex Volkanovski, by the way, loves to fight. He loves to do it. He absolutely loves being in the gym. He loves working out. So, yeah, I think there's a chance he hangs around, Jed. But again, if he loses to Diego Lopez, no doubt about it, he's in the Street Fighter movie. He's in ads all over Australia. He's got his cooking channel. And I think after what happened last time when he got knocked out and he had that really emotional press conference, I feel like he's come to terms with the fact that it's going to be over soon. I know the people in this corner will want him probably to retire. Let's see what happens. Hey, quickly, before we and by the way, imagine John Silva wins and it's Volkanovski. This is John Silva next. God. And he would take that fight in a heartbeat. He wanted to fight Murphy in December. He was ready to go. The UFC was saying no to him. He was like, I'm ready to go. Let me fight. They're like, no. So anyway, the whole thing, he would have fought in December and fought in February knowing Alex Volkanovski. Anyway, Baldo Costa. I got to bring this guy up, right? Because this is going to be a huge one against Derek Lewis. Waldo Cortez Acosta. Sorry about that, Waldo. He's in a big position here for the heavyweight division, Aaron. Do you feel like the UFC is setting up a backup here we know John Jones and Alex Pereira are going to get this happening, but no doubt about it, the UFC is going to need a solid backup or someone to fight Cyril Gane for an interim title. Do you feel like Waldo might potentially get that position with the lights out performance against a very in shape Derek Lewis?
And this is kind of a thank you to him for having such an active year. But we've got to remember he's like 2 fights removed from a loss. Like he lost to Pavlovich and then won his last fight. So I mean, maybe they want to have him on the ready for sure. But at the same time, I still think that there are some more pieces in play at the heavyweight division before I can jump to that conclusion.
Jed, your man, Mike Heck, he must be in a tough position right now. Derek Lewis, his man,
Very difficult.
in a difficult spot. He loves Waldo though.
Or it's a great spot. You know, glass half full. One of his guys has to win. So, I would like to be with AB on this one. Heavyweight's just so weird right now that it kind of feels like any fighter with any momentum, the UFC might just get behind. Because like, what else do they have going on right now? And WCA's got the momentum. So this feels like a fight that's set up to be like, hey, maybe if he does win this and Alex Pereira fights John and we need an interim champion because Tom's out for a while, we slot him in there against Cyril Gane. Like I think every possibility is available at heavyweight right now because it's such a weird division. And since he improbably, if you had asked me, 13 months ago, who's going to be the star at heavyweight, I would have never in a million years said Waldo Cortez Acosta, but he has somehow gotten his place there. And look, they love Derek Lewis. And as somebody, I think maybe the last time I was on your show, Dennis, with Jose Youngs, he pointed out a very important fact about Derek Lewis. Do you know what Derek Lewis's title in the UFC is? It's not the king of knockouts, though he has that. He's Donald Trump's favorite fighter. So if he gets a big win, him at the White House seems to be almost like preordained to happen because Donald Trump loves Derek Lewis. And so it's hard to imagine an event in part built around Donald Trump by Donald Trump for Donald Trump won't have his favorite fighter in a big position, be it for an interim belt or something else. So
it's such an easy fight to make for him at the White House too. Him versus Volkov.
So easy.
Him versus Volkov too. I mean, it's
perfect. That's perfect. So, there's heavyweight's weird right now, man. Anything can happen. Anything at all can happen.
It's interesting. He's obviously fought Cyril Gane. He lost to him. So that was in 2021. And then also we've got Tai Tuivasa coming back in Sydney. I know you guys are going to laugh, but I want to see what kind of version of Tai Tuivasa we get. He took a year off. I saw him in Perth. He was working with Ben Vickers, JDM's coach, on a number of things. Looks like he's really taking things seriously. Last time we saw Tai Tuivasa taking things seriously, he took out Derek Lewis. So let's see. I wonder if he can be a force in this division. He's got to fight Teixeira first and win, but let's see what happens. That's the week after that. All right, quick question bag before we go. So that was a shout out to Lazy Bed before. We got Jake from Windy City. So how do you guys watch your pay-per-views? So Canada, you've broken it down, Aaron. You buy them in Canada, you buy them in Australia. I also told somebody else told us in the chat that the UK, you got to pay for pay-per-view as well, I think. And they're doing Paramount Plus here in Australia, but that's just for the prelims and the fight nights now. That's one of the big changes. So any other changes you're down your way, Aaron, in terms of
business as usual?
Okay, great. What do we all think about, what do we do for the 6-week break? Hobbies, fitness goals, etc. So Daniel, I've been boxing. I've been taking my kid down to the boxing gym, and I've been doing that. I've been trying to get into shape, and because I got the baby, so I'm like, I'm in a training camp, so calorie deficit, the whole thing. And I don't want to be a fat piece of shit for Sydney when I go there. So for this card, what about you guys? Any hobbies? Oh, my hobbies are I did some comic book stuff. I got a Nintendo Switch 2. I don't know, just real basic dad stuff. What about you guys? Aaron?
I just worked really hard on cutting down on my phone consumption. Like,
cool. That's a really really good thing.
Yeah. So I've set my phone to grayscale when so that the colors, that a lot of the reason why people stay on their phone is the colors attract your brain, and you can set your iPhone to grayscale. So that's been something great. I think I've cut down my X usage to it was 40 minutes a week on X. as opposed to what it used to be, which was a lot more than
Are you
that.
talking about X Hamster or just the Twitter app?
No, that one's gone. No, I won't comment on that. But
Like, is that the gray? The
yeah.
gray affects that too, apparently. I don't know.
Yeah, that probably. But yeah, a lot less time on Twitter, a lot less time on Instagram, and just really using my phone as more of a tool than something that's going to take me away from my family. So I've really been working on that the last couple weeks, and also using it for like more brain sharpening tools. Like I've been using an app called Elevate to just do a lot of brain sharpening stuff, memory games and things like that to stave off dementia, stuff like that. So that's really been my big goal.
Also very healthy.
Yeah, also,
people are expecting us to go to strip clubs and brothels and
and I've been listening to a lot more music. I got another device that's just for music only, so I'll put my phone away, go and do that. And I also have been reading graphic novels. Jose Youngs, who the aforementioned Jose Youngs, recommended some graphic novels to me. I've never.
What do you get you? What do you get you reading?
Berlin is the one I've been reading.
Oh, it's great.
So I'm reading. Yeah, I'm almost done Berlin, and then I'm gonna move on to another one that was written by, I think it was like a Brazilian comic. I forget what it's called, but yeah, I'm starting to read some graphic novels. So it's just been trying new stuff. You know, as an old guy, I try to always keep my mind sharp by doing newer things, listening to newer music, and just keeping my brain stimulated.
Nice, man. I was going to say, I haven't actually posted much for Submission Radio on socials at all. I've kind of been just focused on the YouTube. I can't be bothered, man. Like, it just kills my soul. And X, I can't even go on. I can't even go on X. It's just so much bullshit on there. I'm there to like post something about the UFC, and there's like a crazy video of someone getting blown up or something. I'm like,
yeah, I've been using it just for posting, basically.
I just can't do it anymore. And also like Instagram, you get all the, I just can't be, it doesn't do it. I don't care. I'm just going to focus on YouTube. Jed, what have you done? You had a Christmas. You went to an ice hockey game, and then you got thrown out of a few brothels, I heard, down in Atlanta.
No, that's false. I'm not Oscar Willis.
That was last Christmas.
Okay, yeah, I got my Christmas mixed up.
I mean, I should have done everything Aaron did. That sounds like a way healthier and better use of your time and energy.
You used your friend's bathroom? No, not your friend's, your neighbor's bathroom and shower.
I did use my neighbor's bathroom to shit at Christmas. That was really fun.
You wore their clothes and sat on their bed.
I did the same stuff I do every week, which is, I play golf, I read, I watched movies, hung out with my friends. My goal this year is to total 1,000. So I've been going to the gym really hard the last few weeks. Hopefully that won't get impacted by like my actual job returning now. But other than that, it was, the 6 weeks was just, I had more time to engage in my normal hobbies instead of having to fit them around a super crazy hectic work schedule. But that's over. Yay.
That's a happen. Come on, man. At least people are going to watch the sport again. By the way, just for the ladies out there in the chat, are we single or taken? Just in case people are wondering. Can you answer that question?
Single.
Okay. All right, ladies.
Are there ladies in chat?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm trying to grow that demographic.
Yeah, my wife's in the chat saying it's time for her to go out and make dinner. So,
MMA Bachelor of the Year right here. So that's the new award. By the way, just quickly, Aaron, what is the biggest fight of 2026 that you want the UFC to put together?
I feel like the answers were a lot more obvious last year. With like Alex Pereira, John Jones, and Ilia versus Islam. To me, the fight that I most want to see, and I don't know if it's the biggest fight, but I still would really like to see Islam against Shavkat. Like that's a fight that is really high on my list. In terms of the biggest fight they could put on, it's probably whoever Conor faces, really, if we're talking about what like actually draws the most eyeballs. I mean, Alex Pereira versus John Jones is a massive fight. So if you're talking about the biggest fight, those are probably the ones that would be at the top of the list. But in terms of the fight I like most want to see, I like Islam versus Shavkat for me is like two of the highest level MMA guys in the world right now. And I'm starting to look at Michael Morales as being in that kind of conversation too. Like I want to see what he has to offer this year too. Morales versus Shavkat's high on my list too. I think that welterweight division has never been healthier. It's amazing right now.
It's just crazy as well because before this, we had Tom Aspinall in our dream fights. Now we don't even know if he's going to be back from surgery and back in action. It's just crazy how quickly this stuff changes. Jed, what do you think about the panel, the broadcast team for UFC 324 for CBS Sports? Kate Abdo, I don't know much about her, is hosting the desk with Bisping, Weidman, and Cruz. How do you feel about this?
First, I would like to say I fully endorse Aaron's pick for a fight he most wants to see. The fight I most want to see that's my number 2. Now I'm at, I need to see Ilia Arman. I don't think either of them are probably going to happen, which sucks, but fully on board with that. It's a great call. I don't know much about Kate Abdo. I've heard really good things from people I trust. And she seems like very professional and good at her job. So she'll be very good, I imagine, at the directing traffic on these things. I'll give my stock answer for all of these. I think that they should have a term limit for fighters to be analysts, and it should be 3 to 5 years because they inevitably run out of new things to say. Cruz, I think, is the best of those three. I don't like Cruz in a commentary capacity, but I do think as an analyst, he has something more interesting to provide there. It's fine. Like, these are fine choices, but like, you have all the fighters in the world. Let some other people get a crack. Let's get some new blood and sort of keep a rotation so things don't get stale. But that's just my personal, Idaho that I don't think other people care about.
No, we care about this stuff. I will say that it's going to be interesting. I want to see where our friend BC slots into the broadcast, right? I'm curious to see what it's going to feel like. I want to see what the camera angles feel like, the production feels like. There's a lot of Paramount Plus questions that I have. Speaking of how people feel, someone paid $10 just to tell me to pronounce Lerone Murphy's name properly. Is that correct, guys? Lerone Murphy. Do you guys like that?
I mean, you've nailed it.
Murphy. Nailed it.
I didn't hear you screw it up earlier, so.
J Ray, I appreciate the $10. Thank you, my brother. Also, Cosmo Kramer. Aaron, how did you sleep after losing $100 to Gaff? Of course, we're talking about main card minute. People that missed the episode with me and Aaron, it was basically.
I respect it. That was bold of you, Aaron.
In which one? Would I wager to win $2?
Correct.
Yeah.
the big swing.
I got screwed in that one. I hate to say it. I mean, from Long Island Luke giving the answers to a future question on the same show to then asking a Chris Weidman question in like the why wouldn't he give me the Weidman question and give him the Luke Rockhold question? So I'm calling shenanigans.
I got
I'll text Luke. Tomfoolery abound.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cosmo Kramer, also happy birthday, Dan's favorite birthday memory. I spent my 18th birthday in Hong Kong. That was really fun. I spent I don't even remember what birthday for Cerrone McGregor. That was a good time. I feel like that was the end of the big, us being able to fly down and do big event type things. So that was really good. I'm pretty sure it was, anyway, I don't want to get into that. And we got some more happy birthdays. All right, guys, finally, Aaron, as we wrap up, Izzy versus Izzy's new fight announcement. Obviously, he's going to be back in action at UFC Seattle. We know that he's going up against Joe Pyfer. We know Joe Pyfer's already putting out crazy social media about it. How do you feel about this fight being made? I kind of like it.
Yeah, I like it too. I really think that it's the optimal direction to go in for Israel right now is have him face somebody in the lower end of the division, see what he's still got. And I think that Joe Pyfer is going to be a really interesting test for him. I think that Pyfer should bring his wrestling shoes and try to take Israel down and make that the fight, because even though Pyfer's got that big power, I think that if he threatens with the wrestling, that's what's going to open up the striking for him. But I actually really like that fight stylistically for Israel. And I'm curious to see how it plays out, because I think that it's a really intriguing fight that wasn't really on my radar, that I like that they put that together.
I think it makes a lot of sense just to see where he's at. And then, it's a fun fight for everyone to watch. But Jed, what do we do with Brendan Allen? Sean wants him versus something different. Give us a different scenario.
Let me pull up.
Everyone kind of is seemingly booked. So right now we've got RDR versus Kaio. That's going to be going down soon. We got Hernandez and Strickland. That's booked as well. And Imavov is potentially.
Oh, he's getting DDP.
DDP?
There's nobody else. There's nobody else. So you just give him DDP, I guess. Which is fine.
I made a list of fun fights to make. You're going to love this one, Jed. I promise you're going to love this one. For fun fights to make, I did an article for Sportsnet. DDP versus MVP.
I mean,
a fight that's on nobody's radar. That would be just, you got the most spastic striker versus the most technical kind of weird striker, and then DDP just kind of falling backwards into takedowns. I just think that would be a remarkable fight to watch just for fun. I did the article I did was just basically here are 10 entertaining fights for the year. We're strictly just looking at it from an entertainment standpoint. What would people want to watch? And I like
that. Should be 10 DDP fights. Just
DDP versus RDR was still on the wish list, right?
That is my number one. That's my number 2 fight.
That's a fun one. I like that one.
I feel like
I also really want DDP Yuri at one point in time. That would be just the best.
Yeah, man.
That would just be
RDR
weird,
sticking
man.
around
I
at
love the
middleweight,
weirdness.
you know?
I'm here for the weirdness.
It's so weird. It'd be so good.
I feel like whoever jumps up to light heavyweight right now would be so smart. Like RDR.
I think Whitaker's going to do it, isn't he?
Whitaker is kind of talking about it, but it's
He
just such
should.
a wide open division. Just have a crack. You lose nothing by going up and losing. You could fight like a Jamal.
What about Whitaker, Brendan Allen? That would be a good fight.
Yeah, I think they
That
might
would
make
also
that
be
fight.
totally fine.
Yeah.
The Izzy, I'm with you both. I think the Izzy Piper fight is like good. Totally on board with it. I'm a little surprised Izzy didn't just go up to 205 because I thought that's what RDR should do anyway. Like,
I don't like Izzy.
Okay, you lost.
I think Izzy has bad stylistic matchups. The one that I thought they were going to make for Izzy,
I feel.
I liked Izzy versus Shara Bullet. I thought that would have been a fun one to make too.
I think that might be better.
Yeah, like
Izzy versus Yuri. Izzy versus Yuri would be a really fun fight, but I think Carlos Olberg is basically there for a title shot. And I'm curious. I wonder if we'll speak to Izzy when we go to Sydney, because I'm curious to see what is his motivation to come back. I feel like he's just kind of having his last couple of fun fights because he said he doesn't care about the title picture. He doesn't really want to fight for the title. And I think he just wants to sort of a temperature check to see where he's at. I wouldn't be surprised if win or lose, who knows if he's going to stick around, right?
I thought Izzy Shara Bullet would have made the most sense. Like that's the perfect litmus test for him. It's just a pure striker versus striker, basically.
Honestly, I hadn't even considered that. I think that's a good call.
What about Cook right here saying if Gaethje wins here, we get a Conor Justin fight at the White House? Justin Gaethje, a big White House guy.
As I mentioned earlier.
In my article, that was one of the
Thank
fights. I do think that there is a possibility that Conor fights for the interim lightweight belt.
Oh, but sorry, I mentioned it earlier with the contingency that Gaethje lost. So I don't think that for the title it makes any sense.
I think it would be bad. I think it's not high likelihood. I do think it's possible.
I'll wrap it up right here, but I want to quickly say that I'm excited for the UFC to be back. And before we do wrap it, and by the way, just a quick happy birthday. There's another Aaron in Canada. It's also his birthday. Happy birthday, Aaron. Thanks for watching, brother. As we wrap up, though, big week for all of us. MMA fighting, of course, you as well, Aaron. You're going to be on the ground down there, UFC 324. So, Jed, first up, what's happening on MMA fighting now that you guys are back? You're going to be a busy man now. We're doing the live watch along as well.
We got a watch party on Saturday at Mike Heck's place. So tune in for that. We'll have a Between the Links. I have no idea who on Thursday. Breaking news, I will be on MK on Friday.
That's a hot little potato right there.
I think I incorrectly told people I was doing pregame preview this week. That's not happening for other reasons. So instead I'll be doing MK on Friday. So tune in for that. I mean, MK's on Monday with Chuck and Luke. Tune in for that too.
Is it you and Luke on that one, or
on Friday? On Friday,
yeah.
Me and Luke, and Long Island Luke, the aforementioned Long Island Luke. Pop in. And then it's the rest of the stuff. Jose Youngs will be in Vegas, hang out with Aaron for UFC 324, and we're back to business, baby. Just big time stuff.
In a big way. I'm curious to see how much the sport can grow yet again, because I feel like it was a rough year for the sport. Aaron, what is happening with yourself? You always get great exclusives, man. I also love watching your post-fight stuff on the day of the event. A lot of really great insights and takes that people can check out.
Yeah, thanks. So I'm flying out in about 24 hours to Vegas. Diana Belbitsa is with me all week, so we're going to be doing full coverage of UFC 324. I'm going to be interviewing Paddy and Umar on Tuesday. So that'll be fun.
Big ones.
Yeah, and then we're just going to see where the week takes us.
And then post-fight, I like some of the stuff you do as well. I mean, all of the stuff, but I love getting some of the insights right after the fight. For you guys watching this right now, jump onto you're already on the Submission Radio channel. Jump out of this and jump into the premiere of the Dan Hardy UFC 324 preview. It's a little bit of a return. There's no war room yet, so jump on. Me and Dan really go through this main event with a fine-tooth comb. So check that out. And of course, there's a Luke Thomas preview show, and I'll have some more stuff for you guys this week. Thank you so much, Aaron Bronsteter. Jed Meshew, who's out of the solarium. You look like you're tan. It looks really nice, Jed. It's a little bit red around the face, but I think he'll be ready for the watch party. That is us here at Submission Radio. Thank you so much, and have a great UFC 324 fight week, everyone.